Hello and welcome to PokéSins.
The Ninja Poké-Showdown! I think it's that way!
Right guys, you might want to trust the person with the actual map.
Cold water can make a headache even worse.
Oh, you're right, he should have taken a sip from that warm stream just over the hill.
Sometimes I just look at that Psyduck face and I get a headache.
What did I say? Minen.
How about a trade? That Vulpix for my Psyduck. It wouldn't take much time to brush, because Psyduck only has 3 hairs.
I like that's how she tries to justify it.
If we fall, our Pokemon journey's over.
So you should definitely stay in the middle of the bridge and talk about it. Also, why is there another precarious bloody bridge? Misty's expression is just screaming man up.
Huh?
How the f*** did they not see that?
That's weird. A huge mansion right in the middle of nowhere.
It's clearly the gym.
Well, at least we can ask somebody here the way to the Fuchsia Gym.
Seriously, even Child Garen knew this was the gym. How did Venonat cross the ravine to beat them here? Trespassing.
She's gone.
Ash, this is a secret door.
One plusle for Brock figuring that out. Another for how rarely characters do.
What kind of crazy place is this?
A better question is why there seems to be dirt for a floor.
What's that?
It's a Venonat, didn't you hear?
Pikachu, why did you do that to me?
I love that he jumps to the conclusion that it's Pikachu. Wow, Ash is blind.
Voltorb, the identity of this creature is unknown.
This is a Voltorb, but what Pokemon that is, we have no idea. There are clearly traps all around here. Quick, run down the hallway.
It's an invisible wall.
I love that their voices are muffled with the camera on this side. It's also a reference to the games. The way Ash seems almost resigned to his role.
I think we've fallen into somebody's trap. It's a trap! Because I don't want them to take away my Vulpix!
Brock loves Vulpix more than the Pokemon he's trained for years.
Oh no, he's gone!
They very quickly assume he's dead before actually looking down. I want to know how the f*** he managed to hold on. Particularly as his fingers aren't actually holding on to anything. How do they manage to help him up? Seriously, how? These two are clearly stuck in his knees. Also, how do they manage to suspend him in that raised position? How are they suspending him at all? They're not that deep in the wood. Also, of course, throwing deadly weapons at children. That low-quality entrance animation.
Born in darkness, living in darkness, such is the fate of the ninja.
She says, wearing pink in the middle of a brightly lit room.
But don't you think that color's a little bright for a ninja?
Misty's talking sense. Also, I like how Ash is like, A shuriken materializes in her hand.
You can't just chuck throwing stars around. It's dangerous.
On one hand, Ash has a point. On the other, that is literally their purpose. Brock tries to shake hands with Aya's boob.
This is a training camp. It was your fault you let your guard down.
Actually, it's the responsibility of the person training to ensure nobody is in danger. And since she brought it up, why the f*** is she throwing them at a door? Then a gnat materializes between shots.
This Venonat informed me that 3 stupid-looking people had entered the mansion.
Needlessly rude, either for you or the Venonat. And if she knew there were people wandering around, she should have been extra careful and not thrown shurikens at doors!
But first, could you let me down from here?
She's not the one keeping you up there, you dumbass. They're not, like, psychically controlled. You should probably be a bit more careful with those very sharp implements of death.
Bulbasaur, I choose you!
Should have chosen Charmander. Or that Pidgeotto you never use.
Bulbasaur, whirlwind!
Still not explained. Gets a Minun. There's no way Leech Seed can knock out a Pokemon in one hit.
Leech Seed is sucking away your Venonat's power. It's helpless!
Does a little bit of damage, but it doesn't make it at all helpless. Bulbasaur teleports between shots. How did no one see it approach? God, I as a shit ninja.
pleasure to meet you.
Mallet from nowhere. Also brain trauma.
None of you will be permitted to leave this venerable mansion unless you do battle with me.
It seems even the gym leaders don't know how gyms work.
So that's the famous Ninja Mansion.
Famous Ninja Mansion that even Team Rocket know about. Fellow gym leaders Brock and Misty have no clue. A rose from nowhere.
Poisonous Pokemon are positively perfect for perfidious people like us.
Bloody alliteration.
What does that mean?
It means beautiful things can be painful.
No, it doesn't. It means thieves like poison types.
I'll start with Pidgeotto!
Thank you.
This Venonat has a great deal more experience.
Spontaneous evolution. So much bullshit.
A metamorphosis attack?
No, it just evolved.
That's not how spores work.
Release your sleep powder.
If you're just going to put it to sleep, why bother paralysing it first? Specialist Pokemon cannot be afflicted with both at once. His pockets should be yellow. I guess he heard me earlier. How does that disperse it when a wind did not?
Welcome to the...
They broke through here. How did they possibly put all that up? This is where they looked at it and said, how can we make Pokemon more Japanese?
Yeah, that's right.
Overall, the lip syncing in this episode is pretty bad.
Charmander, go! Go, Venonat!
3 against 2?
Pokemon League rules say only one at a time.
James uses String Shot. Jesse uses String Shot. In this shot it looks like Pikachu is stuck in a web, but in this one he's just covered in it.
This time I'll choose Staryu!
She says, holding 2 Pokeballs.
You're Psyduck, not Staryu, don't you understand?
He's not stopping you from throwing them. Aww. Also, at the moment, it's 5v2 and they're still losing. This weird face.
Psyduck's attacks are 1. Tail Whip.
His first move is actually Scratch.
How can you call that lame tail wag an attack?
According to later gen descriptions, the whip is supposed to be a cute wag, so they lower their guards.
Number 2. Scratch.
No, that's Tail Whip.
Now it's giving me a headache.
Second time this episode, double the Minun.
I think I have a way out of this.
Bomb them. That's an additional 13 Pokemon. It's now 18v2, and that's how they win.
That's a Voltorb!
I do like how James knows what they are. Where was that trapdoor? Did they just climb through a hole in the ceiling? How? If it was tilted when they entered, that'd be a plusle. As it's tilted after, no. Few things. 1, the wall design them is different to the previous shot. 2, the wall design to Brock's right is also different to the previous shot. 3, the back wall should be sloped but appears perfectly level in this shot.
This is a slanted room to confuse our enemies.
I have a slanted trap room in the middle of the mansion. Also, why bother having it appear in this at all? Ash hears the explosion before the explosion actually happens.
For some reason, I seem to be losing my liquibrium.
The floor in the room they just came from is the same slant. It's also not that slanted. He's rolling it up the slant. What the hell is Meowth holding? Budget hockey stick from nowhere?
Number 4. Confusion.
That's not the effect of confusion.
Psyduck's attacks are pretty good.
Yeah!
You're right!
I agree! They should have just left with all the Voltorb. Oh, bullshit.
When Psyduck's headache becomes severe, it uses amazing power.
The Pokédex really is the master of telling things after they've become relevant.
Young lady, would you consider trading your Psyduck for my Venomoth?
Bullshit right there, absolute bullshit. I get that they want to emphasise how good Psyduck is, but Koga doesn't seem the type to just trade away one of his team for a Psyduck that is essentially the same as every other Psyduck. Especially as he is the poison gym leader.
I
gladly trade for my Venonat.
That line is grammatically wrong. To trade for the Venonat would mean that Aya would get the Venonat.
I wouldn't trade Psyduck for any Pokemon in the world.
Wow, Misty's a fickle bitch.
A woman's heart can be a very fickle thing, Ash.
The way Brock says that as if it's a good trait.
A Pokemon like that would certainly merit one of our soul badges.
Even though they didn't offer it to Ash, a minor for a gym leader offering a badge without a battle. How does Charmander possibly spin around like that? It's kinda cool that they show Koga is so in touch with his Pokemon that their screeching doesn't faze him. Makes me wonder all the more why he'd want to trade one away. Because I know somebody else would mention it if I didn't. Brock's eyes are open in this frame. Ember is when you spin around and create fire. Fire spin is when you shoot fire from your mouth. Good to know.
You have beaten me.
I thought it was a 2v2. He didn't beat Venomoth. I know Koga secretly hates his Venomoth, but it still wasn't a full match. When he unrolled it earlier, the badge was pointing away from the top. Here it's perpendicular. It's also become distinctly rounder since earlier. The background in this shot is open with trees, while they're still in the courtyard in the next. -90. This one had such a promising start.